Well, hello again. My name is Brad Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of BARQAR Marketing, and joining me on today's call is Tony WIDGET. Tony's our Director of Marketing and has come to us with some outstanding experience in both consumer products and business-to-business marketing consulting, and is going to bring some really interesting insight to the conversation today. So Tony, thanks for joining us.
Of course, my pleasure.
Today, we're going to talk about word-of-mouth marketing. And we're going to focus specifically on how to use digital and social media to really amplify word-of-mouth marketing. And we have a great agenda. We're going to talk about the value of word-of-mouth marketing. I'm sure everybody on this call knows that a lot of business is generated through referrals. A lot of business is generated through one-to-one conversations. And we're going to talk about kind of the history of word-of-mouth marketing. But then we're going to get into the next step of word-of-mouth marketing. And we've seen this dramatic shift or this evolution of how people now seek out referrals. It's less that one-to-one conversation and more a one-to-many conversation. We're going to look at new online platforms for reviews. We're going to talk a little bit about how online reviews impact search rankings. And I hear from our clients all the time, one of their biggest objectives is to rank at the top of Google search results and to get more traffic to their website. Well, a component of that is building more awareness online and building more positive online reviews. And we'll get into why that's so important. Another question we commonly get, how do I deal with bad reviews, or how do I deal with an unhappy customer that's just leaving negative information all over the internet? And we'll walk you through a good process there. We'll walk you through a proven six-step process for generating more reviews. Okay, if you want to rank well in search results, if you want to increase word-of-mouth marketing, if you want to be seen as more influential on the internet, you need to focus and be proactive in building that. We'll look at what review sites are most important for different types of businesses because they're not all equal, and restaurants want to focus one area, hotels and hospitality another. If you're a car dealership, you're going to want to focus somewhere else. If you're a physician or a doctor's office or selling into that industry, there's other places where you want to focus. So we'll talk about what sites are most important specifically for your business. We'll look at some case studies and some specific examples of companies that have implemented what we're going to talk about in today's webinar and what results they saw out of it. What return on their investment did they see? And then last but not least, we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So I encourage everybody on this call to, throughout, think of questions that you want to ask. Think of questions that relate to your business. Use this as a resource. This is a great time to ask those questions, and your questions are going to help others too. So throughout the presentation, please feel free to use that question box in the right-hand panel. Ask those questions. If it makes sense, we'll try to address it right away. If not, we'll leave it time for the end to address all those questions and concerns. All right, so as you can see, we have a big agenda here, so let's jump right in. And I want to start by looking at word-of-mouth marketing. And this is an influential study that a company called Razorfish did back in November of 2014. And they looked at almost 1,700 people with internet access across the United States. And they asked them, what impacts your purchase decisions? Is it traditional advertising like TV, radio, or print ads? Is it social media posts? How do online reviews play into your purchase decisions? And not only just online reviews, but online reviews from industry experts or third parties, online reviews from other consumers, or word of mouth, so people that they know, people that they interact with, people that they trust, maybe their friends, their family, their peers. And what's interesting here is that the top 3 purchase decision influencers were word-of-mouth marketing, online reviews from other consumers, and online reviews from industry experts. Okay, traditional advertising isn't as influential. And why is that? Well, because traditional advertising focuses on me, on the product. It focuses on the company. It doesn't focus on the consumer experience. Okay, whereas these others do. They focus specifically on the consumer experience and specifically what others have thought about the consumer experience. Okay, they're seen as unbiased. They're seen as trusted. So as you can see, word of mouth marketing is extremely impactful and can have a big, big impact on your bottom line. So we're going to look at what we can do to improve that experience, get people to talk more about your products, get people to share your products and become advocates for your product or service. Before we do that, we have some statistics that show, again, the importance of word of mouth. And Tony, you came up with a lot of these, so if you don't mind kind of walking through each of these.
Yeah, sure, Brad. And we have a few slides here that will basically show from a bit of a high level just the impact that word of mouth can have. These are from some various sources, but there's some studies by Market Share and the Keller-Fay group here. The first slide here, you see word of mouth has been shown to improve marketing effectiveness by up to 54%. Now, by effectiveness, we're talking about the impact of the marketing that you've put out there. And depending on your organization, this can be measured in different ways. This could be the cost to acquire a new customer. This could be direct conversions or an action, a desired action from a given campaign. It's really any goal that you've set. But what it really comes down to is ROI. It's the return on your investment, and word of mouth marketing has been shown to increase that greatly. In fact, researchers found that 10% in the amount of word of mouth marketing, the amount of word of mouth that's going on online about your organization, about your campaign, has translated into sales lifts of up to 1.5%. Now, when you're speaking about ROI and results, obviously the best result is sales. So if only a 10% increase in some of the word of mouth activity going on could increase your sales up to 1.5%, I would say that that would be something that would be worthy of an investment by really any organization.
Yeah, and Tony, as you're looking at this, I mean, it makes sense. If more people are out there talking about your product, if more people are sharing it as a referral or sharing your service and telling what a great experience they had, you're going to see sales lift. And it's pretty impactful. A small increase in word of mouth has a huge increase in bottom line sales.
Yeah, and really the reason behind that is because of this next slide. People trust what their friends, what their family, what their peers are saying about a product or a service or a company. In fact, you know, this number here shows 84% of consumers reported taking action based on personal recommendations, and this is consistent with really almost every study that's out there. People trust what their peers and their friends are saying more than they trust a message coming direct from a company. So to get that word of mouth and to get that activity going online, it can be a huge driver for your business.
Yeah, definitely. And when you think about word of mouth, again, traditionally it was, you know, maybe talking at the hair salon or maybe talking around the water cooler, one-to-one conversations. And there's been a huge shift recently, and the reason for that shift is because of what you're doing right now. You're in front of a computer. In your pocket, you probably have a smartphone. More people are spending time online and more people are connected 24/7. And they're not just connected with a few people, they're connected with hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. So what's happening is word of mouth has transitioned from that one-to-one conversation or that one to, you know, a handful of people conversation to one to thousands. Okay, we all have proverbial megaphones in our pocket right now. Okay, Facebook amplifies your reach, Twitter amplifies it, LinkedIn amplifies it, Yelp, Google, StumbleUpon, all of these sites, all of these networks, all of these social platforms are megaphones. Okay, and what do we want to do? We want them to be positive megaphones. We don't want to spread negative messages. So what can we do to really drive home more of that positive message? What can we do to get our brand recommended by more people? What can we do to increase brand awareness and increase the number of times that people are out there mentioning us. Now, just to reinforce that that we all have megaphones in our pockets and we're sitting in front of them right now, I wanted to share some specific examples. And these aren't just examples that I found on the internet. Okay, these are examples from my personal news feed in Facebook. Okay, these are things that over the last few weeks I've seen show up in my personal news feed. Okay, and I think it illustrates that people aren't just going to Facebook or Yelp or stumble upon for a restaurant recommendation, and they certainly are, but they're going for all types of different services. They're going for all types of different product recommendations. Here's a case in which someone was looking for a long-term care facility for a loved one. Okay, what did they do? They went to Facebook to ask for personal recommendations. And take a look at this. There were 29 comments. 29 people responded. 29 different recommendations. Okay, 29 people that are advocates or detractors for a specific long-term care facility. You need to be aware that these conversations are happening, and you need to take a proactive approach to make sure that they happen and share positive recommendations about your company. Here's another example. Can somebody recommend a roofer? Okay, within 2 or 3 hours, few recommendations came through. If I went back and I pulled this today, I bet there'd be 5 or 6 more. Okay, people are going out there for long-term care facilities. They're going out to find roofers. Here's another example. Somebody had some issues with a leak, and they were looking for a drywall person or a general contractor for a small job. You look here, there's been 23 comments on this post. Within a few hours, they found a contractor to do this work. They reached out, and not only did they find that contractor, but this person then went back onto Facebook to report what a great experience he had. Okay, this didn't just reach those 23 people. This reached everyone that this person was connected to and more. Okay, so this one post reached hundreds, if not thousands of people with a great experience. Now, when other people are looking for drywall or a contractor, they're way more likely to reach out to this gentleman, Gerald Rounds, all because of social. But in order for social media and in order for this new form of word-of-mouth marketing to be effective, you need an audience. Okay? If your company doesn't have an audience, you could put on the best performance ever. No one's going to see it. No one's going to hear it. It's going to add no value for you. So you need to fill up your audience. How do you do that? Number one, obviously, you have to build your following. Okay. How do you build a social following? How do you build an online following? Well, start with your friends and family and acquaintances. Okay. If you create a Facebook page or if you have a Twitter account or a LinkedIn profile, connect with all your friends and family. Get them to follow your company. Get them to follow your professional profiles online. It's a great way to kickstart things. Okay, if you're in a form of business that does a lot of email communication, and email is a big way to communicate with your clients and prospects, get it into your email footer. Okay, have links to all of your social profiles there. Make sure social profiles are on your website and repeated throughout. Make it easy for people to follow you on social and build your following. If you do any type of email marketing, encourage people to follow your page. Give them a reason to follow your page. Okay, it's not just enough to say, hey, come follow us. We're on Facebook now. You need to give them a reason. Why should they follow you? Are they going to get access to special deals? Are they going to get access to incentives? Are they going to get new product announcements? Are they going to get valuable information that they can use in their business or personal lives? Are you going to present some humor for them? So think about all the ways that you're going to add value to their life and promote that. Encourage them to follow you. Use paid components to build your following. Facebook has a very great platform for building a following and building likes for people of all different demographics. So you can get very granular in who you target with your online paid marketing. Okay, perfect example. In one case, we were trying to reach out to customers for a plumbing company in Jamestown. Okay, we're able to target people within a 25-mile radius of Jamestown who are homeowners, who are in a specific age bracket. Okay, we can get very granular, we can reach the exact right target audience, and we can build a following very quickly and build a following of the right people. So before we do anything else, we need to focus on building that following so that when we do share a message, or when people do share a message about us, more and more people hear that. Okay, another great way to build that following and maintain that following is to share valuable content. Okay, so it's not enough just to have a social media presence. You need to share valuable content. You need to add relevance. You need to add value. And this is a great example of this. There's a site that I like and a Facebook account I love called stepoutbuffalo.com. And they do a great job of sharing real, good, timely information. And here's a good example. 8 things to do on a rainy day in Western New York. They happened to post this on a day that it was supposed to rain all day during. Okay, great piece of content. Didn't tie specifically to their business. Okay, it wasn't promotional, but it added value. It drove traffic back to their website. So this article is hosted on their website. And then once on their website, I was served up other advertisements. I could go and look at other service offerings. I could go look at other events. But what it did is it got me to their website. Okay? It didn't get me to their website with a sales pitch. It got me to their website because they added value. Okay? Once at their website, then I could do other things and do business with them. But think about what your audience is interested in. Okay, share valuable content. It doesn't always have to be about you, but if you get in the habit of sharing valuable content, you'll be seen as a trusted resource. People are going to like you. People are going to want to do business with you. People are going to want to promote your services and products. Tony, I'm going to let you tackle this one.
Yeah, and this is really a great example of a couple things. So you see this post here. It's by Tandoori's Restaurant in Williamsville. Join us for free appetizer Mondays. And really what they're doing here is taking advantage of the interest that their Facebook following has in their business. So these are people who have voluntarily liked your page. They voluntarily tune into your message. And because of that, by putting a promotion here, you're going to see a much higher % ROI than you would, say, put in an ad in a newspaper. And your costs are going to be much lower, and you're going to be making sure that you're reaching the right audience every time. Second, you're rewarding the people who are following you. So they feel like they're part of a special club, and they know that they're getting value from you for their loyalty. And that's a great way to tell them, hey, we value you. We appreciate that you've been to our restaurant. We appreciate that you follow us on Facebook or you follow us on Twitter. And here's something that we're going to do for you in return. And it really helps to build goodwill with your customers. Now, you can also take that goodwill, and because of the power of word of mouth and peer evaluations, you have a great opportunity to mix in some self-promotion. When your audience likes and engages with these types of messages, then these positive experiences will spread throughout that social network. And again, as we touched on earlier, that's a megaphone in every person's pocket. So when they like something or they engage in something, tens of people see that, and then those tens of people see it and like it and engage, and then hundreds and thousands of people see it. So it's really a great opportunity to not only offer your audience something special, but to also say, hey, we're pleasing the people who are coming here, and we know we do a good job pleasing you as well.
Yeah, and in this specific example, if Tandoori's was just to go out on their social platform and say, hey, we have excellent food, some people might believe it. But simply having this come from a customer, a diner that was in there and raved about their food, it's so much more genuine. It's so much more powerful. And businesses oftentimes get these great comments. They get this great feedback. But what they're bad at is using this to their advantage. So oftentimes when they get this feedback, it's just one-to-one. It's just the customer telling the service rep or their account executive or their service coordinator this comment directly. And then it dies there. It's a one-to-one conversation. It adds no social value. But by simply taking that conversation and putting it into a nice graphic like this, or even asking that person to go out and leave a review, it's so much more powerful. It's so much more impactful. It reaches thousands of people instead of being just a private conversation. So think about how you can incorporate these type of things into your marketing mix. And it doesn't have to be solely online. It can be in direct mail. It can be in posters or information in your offices. It can be in a lot of different places. But think about how you can use these great experiences to your advantage to build trust and to build validity and to build honesty. All right. I talked a little bit before about using paid ads on social media sites to build your following. Okay, but paid ads can also be a great way to get your message in front of other people. And this is an example of a paid ad from a company. And what's great about this is that right at the top of the paid ad, it shows all the people that I'm personally connected to that have also liked this company. So in this particular case, this shows up in my newsfeed, and there are 10 of my close friends that already like this company. Okay, when I see that, when I recognize those names, that builds trust in that company. That's word of mouth marketing right there. Helps build trust. Helps show that people that I trust on a personal level trust this company. Again, this is a targeted ad. It keeps this company top of mind with me. And they're serving this up because people that I'm connected with like this company. Okay, very interesting way to expand your reach and to leverage customers that already engage with you socially and get into their networks. Great referral source. And what makes these so impactful is that people engage with these posts. Here's another promoted post that showed up in my newsfeed. If you look at the bottom here of this picture, there's 76 likes, there's 21 comments, and there's 39 shares. So 136 total engagements here. And 136 might not sound like a big number, okay? But when you think about it, each person on Facebook has an average of 338 friends. Multiply that by 136, and this post reached nearly 46,000 people because of social interaction. And I guarantee you they didn't pay too much at all for it. It's very cost effective. So look at ways that you can gain social validity like testimonials. Look at ways that you can use this in your marketing. And then think about putting a little paid promotion behind social to reach a huge, huge audience. It can be very, very impactful. So up until now, we've talked really about Facebook. We talked a little bit about Twitter. I mentioned LinkedIn a few times. But there's one set of overlooked social networks that we often forget. And that's online review sites. Tony, if you can, talk a little bit about some of these online review sites and how they impact people and decision making and social engagement.
Yeah, and like Brad said, you know, we've kind of focused the conversation so far on a few sites. And when people think of quote-unquote social sites, they often limit that to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest. But there are hundreds of other sites out there that would certainly qualify as social. We have a few examples. So some of the prime examples that we see out there, you see Yelp, you see TripAdvisor, health grades, apartment ratings. I mean, look at some of the numbers that we're dealing with here. So on Yelp, you have 142 million monthly visitors. Okay, on TripAdvisor, there's over 250 million reviews, and 85% of user questions are answered by other users within 24 hours. That's really a key element, and that certainly makes TripAdvisor a social network. I mean, this is people interacting with people, people asking questions, other users giving answers, and that's, again, a perfect example of the peer evaluations and the word of mouth and the impact that those reviews can have on a business. Health grades, 146,000 daily visitors. And then apartment ratings, same thing. You don't necessarily think of maybe going online to find reviews about apartments, but you can see that there's over 2 million ratings and reviews of apartments on apartmentratings.com. So again, this is not just restaurants. It's not just the mom and pop business on the corner. This is some things that historically may not have even been associated with online reviews.
Yeah, and it always amazes me how influential review sites are, even in picking something as important as your physician. Okay, Health Grades is getting 146 daily visitors. People are going there to become educated so that they make the right physician choice. Big, big decision. People, before they accept a job with companies, are going to sites like Glassdoor to see what other employees have left, what reviews other employees have left. So huge life decisions are being impacted by online reviews.
And then, we can take that a step further, and we can see, going back to kind of the conversation on marketing effectiveness earlier. So let's see if these other social sites impact business. And really, the studies show that they do. And there's a study online, and you can search for this, do a Google search and find this Harvard study, or certainly you'll have access to the slides here, and you can go to this link when you have a little time. But this study from a Harvard business professor examines the impact that Yelp ratings had, and in this case specifically on restaurant revenue. But they found that a 1-star increase in a restaurant's overall rating could lead to a 9% annual increase in revenue. I mean, that's amazing. That's a huge, huge increase for getting some great reviews online. It shows you the impact that those customers can have on your business, and it obviously makes it worthwhile to encourage those types of reviews to come online.
Yeah, and what amazes me is that that's just a 1-star increase. That's not like a 3-star jump.
Right.
1-star increase, 9% increase in revenue. It's absolutely amazing. And not only that, reviews, as I mentioned earlier, can have an impact on search engine rankings. One of the biggest questions that we get as a company is, hey, I want to rank higher in search results. So can you just do that for me? And it's not as simple as that. It's tied to content on your website. It's tied to keyword density. It's tied to other websites out there that link to you. It's tied to online reviews and a number of other factors. But in looking at what's most important in search rankings, Google, Bing, and Yahoo, they each have their own algorithm. But there's a site out there called Moz, M-O-Z.com. And each year they do an analysis on the top ranking factors. So what is absolutely most important? And they put this list together of the top 50 ranking factors. So these are the 50 top things that impact local search results. And what was interesting to find is that 8 of the top 50 influencers of search rankings tie directly to reviews. Okay, so if you want to climb to the top of search results, you need to mix in a strategy for getting more reviews and getting more online engagement. Okay, if you look at some of these, diversity of third-party sites on which reviews are present. What that means is that you need reviews on Yelp, Google, Facebook, on apartment ratings, and all those other sites that Tony just went through. You need a variety of different reviews on different sites. You need reviews on Google Maps. You need reviews that include your products, your services, and keywords in them. You need overall velocity of reviews, and what that means is how recent are reviews? How often do you get reviews? So again, you need a proactive plan in place to continue to get these reviews on a consistent basis. They're looking at overall quantity of reviews, authority of third-party sites on which reviews you have. So you want to look at some of the biggies like Yelp, like Facebook, like Google reviews. Those are very authoritative sites. If you get more reviews on those sites, like health grades, if you're in the physician space, you're going to have way more impact. And you also want to look at quantity of reviews by authoritative reviewers. So if you can get a review from somebody that consistently leaves reviews, okay, somebody out there that actively uses Yelp or actively posts reviews on Twitter, those are going to be more impactful. Those are all things that search engines are looking at. Okay, so put a proactive plan in place to get those. The challenge with that, though, is, as I'm sure you've seen, people sometimes can be mean, especially when they're kind of hiding behind somewhat anonymity online. And I'm going to go through some examples of just bad reviews that we've seen out there. Look at the two examples here of a restaurant. This is a restaurant called the Fiesta Mexican Grill. I'm not going to tell you where it's at. It's not local here, but I'm pretty sure dairy goes bad, and I'm pretty sure that this restaurant doesn't know it. Pretty powerful review, but powerful in the wrong way. It's going to drive people away. Another one, licking the sidewalk will give you the same experience. To be fair, the sidewalk might make you less sick. Okay, if you're thinking about going out for dinner and you go to Yelp and you look at these reviews, are you ever going to end up at this restaurant? Probably not. I know I won't. Same with hotels. Okay, people are going to TripAdvisor. People are going to other places. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Stay away if you love yourself. The worst experience ever. Okay. Thing with this review is that, take a look at the date. It was reviewed January 4th, 2009. Okay, this is 7 years ago. This review is still wreaking havoc. And why is this still wreaking havoc? Because this particular facility hasn't gotten many other reviews since. Okay, so this is the only impression. And what I really wanted to point out here is not that you need to be 100% scared of negative reviews, which you do, but you have to be aware of what people are saying. Okay, this hotel might not even be aware that this review exists, and they haven't done anything about it. So for 8 years, people are seeing this review at the top of their review page because they haven't taken a proactive role in generating more positive reviews. That's crazy. Okay, it's dooming their business. So stay alert. Look at these review sites. Pay attention to what people are saying about your products, your service, and your people. Here's another one, bed and breakfast. This particular person has never even stayed at this bed and breakfast, but they're basing this review on a thread that they read about on a website called Reddit. This is a little ridiculous to me, but it illustrates the power of word of mouth. Okay, this person saw that other people were complaining about this hotel. He's never even stayed there, and he's leaving a 1-star negative review. It's crazy, but it shows the power of word of mouth marketing online. Here's another example. This is apartment rentals. Look at the first 3. Do not rent from them. Horrible, terrible. This complex has gotten worse. Why in the world would anyone ever rent an apartment there after looking at this? If you don't know that these conversations are happening, you're never going to be able to fix them. Here's another one, senior advisor, nursing homes and senior living. As illustrated earlier in my Facebook example, people are going online to look for recommendations for facilities. They want to hear non-biased feedback from people that have been there. Okay, take an active role. Now, I mentioned earlier, sometimes people are mean online. And what you're going to find is that more people will leave negative reviews than positive reviews if you sit back and do nothing. Okay, think about it. Think about the last time you had a great meal at a restaurant. Did you feel compelled to go out and proactively leave a review? Probably not. But think about if you had a bad meal. You're probably going to tell a whole lot of people. You might even go over to Yelp or TripAdvisor or Zomato and leave a negative review and let people know how bad it was. And that's the challenge. More people are apt to leave negative reviews unless you take a proactive approach. So with that said, one question that we get all the time is, what do I do when I do get a negative review? And Tony, I'm going to let you walk through the three-step process that you've been using?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's a fairly easy process, and I mean, step one of this process is to listen. So you first need to know that these reviews are out there, and Brad touched on it a minute ago. But it's important to go and claim your pages. You know, for Google Local, Yelp, Facebook, YouTube. Even if you don't have the time or the personnel to actively manage some of those pages right away, it's important to go in and claim them as your business, set up alerts so that when people do leave you reviews, you get those to your email box, so at least know what people are saying. Now, along those same lines, it's also a good idea to set up a Google alert. You create that through Google. You can set up alerts that come right to your email inbox that notify you when your business or other search terms that you may be interested in, maybe a competitor, maybe the industry that you're in, shows up on blogs or newspapers or web pages, etc. So again, keeps you alert, keeps you aware of what's being said online. There are other monitoring services that are out there that'll do the same thing for you. But really, in the end, it comes about getting in the habit of looking. It's your business. It's your reputation online. Ideally, you have some time to monitor for yourself and go to these pages and review sites and see what people are saying. You know, I would say it's generally going to be worth your effort to at least make some regular time to go and do that and pay attention and listen to those things. Moving on to step two, you want to respond. So you can't come across as apathetic to the feedback that's out there. So even when someone leaves you negative feedback, there's really some important keys here. One is you can't be defensive. If you start arguing with the person who left the review, you're going to lose that argument online almost every time. You need to say thank you. And as hard as that might be, you really have to look at that negative feedback as marketing research. And assuming that the feedback is legitimate and that it's not, you know, maybe a competitor with fake feedback or something along those lines, you want to look at it as an opportunity to improve your business or service. It can be very useful to you and can actually help you gain more customers in the end. Now, along those lines, you want to address the problem head on. You want to let people know what you're doing about it. You want to let people know that, hey, we've changed this, or hey, what if we do this? And let people see that you're making efforts. You're outlining how you have changed or how you will plan to change based on that feedback. Always be sincere and honest. You know, a lot of the internet trolls can see through PR and positive spin, and they'll call you on it. So be sincere and honest about the things that you're doing. Whenever possible, take the conversation offline. And again, this also ties into the last point about avoid back and forth, and I mentioned it a little earlier on this slide. It's very hard for a business to win the back and forth argument. Ideally, your audience, the people that are on your Facebook page who are fans of you, will handle it for you. They'll handle that back and forth. They'll argue against the negative reviewer, particularly if the negative review is not legitimate. But let them come to your defense. You don't need to have an argument online. You should take the conversation off and try and handle it that way. And then the third step is really to be offensive. Every business at some point is going to get a negative review. It's unavoidable. Sometimes you just don't have, you know, your employees aren't having the best day. Sometimes the food just was a little undercooked. Sometimes things happen and you can't necessarily control everything. But what you can do, and the best way to minimize the impact of that negative review, is to have it be drowned out by many, many more positive reviews. So if that negative review is an outlier, not as many people will place value on it. They'll realize that, hey, there's 100 reviews on this business. 99 of them are positive. 1 of them is negative. So my overall feeling for this business is fairly positive, and I would trust them with my money. I would trust them with my patronage, and I feel good about it. I feel good about the chances of me having a good experience with them.
Terrific. Thanks, Tony. And all of this can seem a little overwhelming. So looking at all of these different review sites each week, responding, being aware, being more proactive. The good news is there's some technology to help. So there's ways to begin to be proactive about building your online reputation, building more reviews, building more online advocates, and be strategic about it. And wanted to walk you quickly through our review process or our system. So this is a system that many of our clients are using to get those online reviews. It helps you collect reviews on site or send a follow-up email with additional offers. Helps you protect against those online trolls, those people that are just miserable and leaving poor reviews. It helps improve search engine rankings, helps you collect testimonials so that you can showcase those on your website or through social. And the last point is really you want to focus on driving more revenue. So here's just a quick look at how that works. We send out an email to people and they're directed then to a form that they fill out, simple one-step form. They complete their rating, and if they leave a good rating, they're taken on to a page where they can leave positive feedback. If they leave a negative rating, they're taken to a private area where you can solicit that feedback so that you can improve service. So let's take a little closer look at this. We start by qualifying people. So when you're going out there and asking for reviews, before you go out and ask for an actual review, you want to make sure that person had a good experience. Because if you're just simply going out and saying, hey, can you leave a review on our Google page, and they had a bad experience, you're drumming up negative reviews. So we start by gauging their satisfaction on a 1 to 10 scale. Okay, people that had a good experience, we then take them onto an area that links them directly to your online social review sites. Yelp, TripAdvisor, Urban Spoon, Facebook, Foursquare, maybe Health Grades, maybe TripAdvisor. Really depends on your business. Okay, but we take them to those areas. Let's say somebody leaves a negative rating. They just weren't happy, or they were just felt the service or product was average. You want to know why. Okay, you want to know that information so that you can improve your business or your service or your product. But you don't want everybody else in the world to know why. So what we do is take people to a private feedback area where you can solicit that feedback, but they don't feel the need to go and tell everybody and their mother on Facebook, or tell everybody on Yelp, or tell everybody how bad their hamburger was, or how long their wait in the waiting room was. Okay, you want that feedback again, but you want it privately, and this helps you do it. You also want real-time feedback. So what we do is when we survey people for our clients, we give them real-time feedback. When somebody completes a survey, when somebody shares information, it's delivered to them real-time through email. When there's reviews that happen online, they get automated alerts. Okay, so if somebody goes to Yelp or Facebook or somewhere else and leaves a bad review or a positive review, our client gets notified right away so that they can act on it. And then last but not least, we have a review widget. So we don't want these testimonials to be that just one-to-one conversation that dies on the vine. We want everyone to see that information. We want to share those experiences. So we collect all this great feedback, we collect all these testimonials and showcase them on their website. And then one of the most important things is to make sure that you're looking and reviewing these things consistently. Here's just a peek at a dashboard where our clients can see how they're performing. They can see their net promoter score. They can see how many people they've surveyed, how many people have opened the email, how many online reviews they've gathered. And it really just helps give a benchmark for how your business is performing. Okay, so enough of that. Let's talk briefly about what review sites are most important for your business. Okay, I mentioned earlier that there's review sites for just about every type of business out there. And I took some broad categories here. This is also available on our website at barqar.com, BARQAR.com. But if you're in the hospitality space, if you're a restaurant, hotel, bed and breakfast, you want to look at sites like Yelp, TripAdvisor, Zomato, which used to be called Urban Spoon, OpenTable, Foursquare, Google, Facebook. You want to look at sites that really cater to the hospitality industry. On the contractor home repair side, you want to look at sites like HomeAdvisor or Angie's List. Local businesses. Makes a ton of sense to get active on Google Local. If you're a local business, don't have locations across the country or in other regions, focus on Google Local. Focus on Facebook, the Better Business Bureau, City Search. Okay, that's where people are going for local reviews. On the retail space, if you sell products on Amazon, Amazon has their entire own review system. You want to look at Facebook, Yelp, other retailer websites. In the healthcare space, we deal with a lot of healthcare companies and practitioners. Look at sites like Caring, at Health Grades, at RateMDs, at Vitals. It's amazing how many people are looking at these websites before choosing a provider. I mentioned earlier employment branding. If you're a large employer, before people will choose to work at your company, they're going to go to sites like Glassdoor and Indeed and look at what other current employees and past employees are saying. Okay? Take a look there now. If you're a large employer, take a look at those sites. See what people say about their experience there. Employment branding is a biggie. Automotive industry, cars.com, CarWise, dealer ratings. Before people choose somebody to service their car or a location to buy a new or used car, they're doing their research. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have a positive reputation on all those platforms. Okay, and there are hundreds of other industries and hundreds of other review sites that you need to pay attention to. So with that said, Tony, walk us through some real-world examples. So you have some, we have some clients that have adopted all of these things that we've talked about, and what's been their experience?
Yeah, a couple recent case studies that we've put together. The first one here is for Tindori's restaurant. You can see in just about 3 months with the BARQAR review program, they've received 56 additional restaurant reviews, including 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor, Yelp, Facebook, and really most importantly then is what that's translated into on some of the big sites that people will go to search for restaurants. And you can see that on TripAdvisor, they went from the number 11 ranked Williamsville restaurant to number 9. So not only cracking the top 10, but you know, moving up into the first page of results on TripAdvisor. Urban Spoon had their overall approval rating rise to 77%. And then Google Reviews increased their overall star rating to 3.1. So those are kind of the real world effects that those reviews have had. And then obviously that all kind of links back to the Harvard study we referenced earlier.
Terrific. And Tony, as we mentioned, it's not just restaurants, right?
Oh no, absolutely. It's across industries, and in this case is a yoga studio that we work with called Mind Body Flow Yoga. And in less than 2 months, they received 30 additional online reviews with an average score, nearly a perfect average score. It was out of 5. Their average review score is 4.97. And then, you know, in addition to those reviews on Yelp and Facebook, now all of a sudden with the use of that website widget, they're showcasing 26 5-star reviews on their website. So when people go to their site to find out maybe a class schedule, you know, hours of operation, contact information, they are met with 26 5-star reviews of very satisfied customers of Mind Body Flow. And just the last quick case study that we have is for a company called Horizon Hospitality. Now, so far they received nearly 200 additional online reviews with an average score of 4.19. And then you can see 126 of those reviews have been for 5 stars, and those are being showcased on their website. So you can imagine the impact that that has if you're looking to do business with this organization, of going there and being met with 126 5-star reviews. And not to mention, you know, the increased exposure on the search engines, and what happens now if you find one bad review for this organization somewhere else online, and then you go to their website and you see 126 5-star reviews. that negative review is going to be the outlier in your mind. And again, that's really the key behind all of this, is to be offensive, go out and get those reviews and drown out any of the negative that may be out there. And you can see even the quote by the owner on the case study there, that's exactly what we were able to help them do here. And that's really a key component of all this.
Terrific. Thanks, Tony. That brings us to the end of today's session. We'll leave time for Q&A. I had a question come in already and would like to encourage everybody else, if you have questions, to leave those in the question box. But did want to, before we wrap up, mention an upcoming webinar. We're going to focus on the key to winning customers online in our next webinar, which is going to happen next month, July 20th. It's a Wednesday, same time as today's, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. And really, we're going to look at the science behind how people choose one business over the other. And we mentioned some things in today's webinar on how you can get in front of more people online, but we're going to dig even deeper. So we're going to talk about content strategies. We're going to talk about how to make sure that you're using the right online platforms to reach your audience. We're going to walk through how to identify decision makers. So really, really great tactical webinar that will leave you with some very specific things that you can implement in your business. And I also wanted to encourage everyone that each of our webinars is recorded and available on our website. And that's at barqar.com/webinars. And you see on the screenshot here, we had our last webinar on search engine optimization that people raved about, that walked through how to get ranked at the top of Google results. We had another one on how to build a following and drive more engagement on social. So all of these, the recordings, including this one, will be available up on the site. With that said, I want to transition over to questions. And as I mentioned, we had one question come in throughout the presentation, and that was when we were talking about social, paid social posts. And the question was, how much does it cost to have a paid ad on social media, specifically Facebook? And the answer to that question is, it depends. And it depends on a lot of different variables, but it depends on how many people you're looking to reach and how specific you are looking to reach. So what I mean by that is, if your ad appeals to a very wide audience and it's just general, then your cost per click is much cheaper than if you're trying to reach a very unique, specific audience that a lot of other people are trying to reach. Okay. I'll give you a great example. If you're in the funding space or the banking space, a lot of competition there. Legal space, there's some competition there. So your cost per click is higher than it would be for something more general or something that not a lot of people are targeting. Okay, but even with that said, we have companies that are spending a few $100s a month and reaching tens of thousands of people with their message. So in the grand scheme of things, it's extremely cost effective. I have some companies that are getting likes to their Facebook page for as little as 20 cents. Okay, so it's a very simple and easy way to build your following. And with that said, it doesn't look like there's any other questions that came in, so hopefully we were able to answer a lot of those during the presentation. If you do have specific questions or want to learn more about the online review platform, or want to talk more about social media marketing or content marketing, please let us know. We're happy to help. And actually, while I was saying that, another question did come in. I've seen some companies that have put on their review sites that they're not accepting reviews at this point. Can they prevent reviews? Great question. And you can prevent some reviews on some platforms. For instance, Facebook. If you have a company Facebook page, you can choose whether or not to display reviews. Okay. Now, what you can't do is choose to display some reviews and not others. So you couldn't just display your positive reviews and hide all your negatives. It doesn't work like that. Okay, but you can choose whether or not to have that review option even available. But on other sites like Google, okay, Google will automatically create a page for your business out there. If you have a physical location, it's going to create a page on their map, and people are going to have the opportunity to leave reviews. And it's not your decision on whether or not they show. Okay, same thing can happen on Yelp. So people can go out there and leave reviews. You don't have complete control. So that's why it's so important to continue to monitor that and continue to pay attention and make sure that you know what's being talked about on your business. So with that said, I think that brings us to the end of today's presentation. Hope you all found it helpful. If you have any questions, need any help, please feel free to reach out to Tony or I, and we're happy to help in any way that we can. Thank you again, and we hope you join us for the next BARQAR webinar.